Hi everyone, welcome back to the AI language. So today we are going to add more content to our portfolio page, and last time we have added a scroll view to this page so that as we add more content we can actually scroll down. Just to recap, right now we have something called a portfolio page which has a scaffold, and you can see all this on the bottom right corner of the screen over here when you hover over this. In the scaffold we have a body which is the main area for adding all the content of the scaffold, in which we have a body container. This container contains all the content of the scaffold body. After that, we have a body scroll view, which allows the content in the container to scroll up and down if it's more than the height of the screen. So it's a vertical scroll view. And inside that, we have this body column, which has all my content. Right now, we have two things for content. One is the image, where I'm going to add the image of whoever is making this portfolio. They can actually set a URL to replace this placeholder with that. And then we have the container for the introduction of the portfolio owner, which is basically telling the name, designation, and the email address. So let's go ahead and add now a new container to this body column, which will, let's say, talk about the educational background of the user, right? So let's do that with the help of our assistant. Please add a container called the education container below the intro container. For now, just leave it blank.
I added a new education container.
Okay, great. So I have that now, and let's just actually check this out. So I have this education container which has a null right now. So there's nothing inside it right now. The education container is right over here. All right. So now what I'll do is I'll ask my assistant to add content to this container. Let's add a column with let's say three things. One would be a title, right? So it says education, right? Then one would have a separator. So it can be an empty container with a very small height and a color like a gray color or something, which is actually a separator for the education title from the education details. And the third thing can be a text which just talks about the college education or any other kind of education that the person has received. So let's do that. Add a column called the intro column to the introduction container. Inside the intro column, add a title. For the intro column, the first element would be a text which says education, right? Below that, I want an empty container of height, let's say 2 units. The width can be specified to, let's say, 40 units. For that container, create a new decoration, call it the, let's say, separator decoration, right? And in that decoration, keep the color as outline, right? And that's it for that decoration. So assign that decoration to this separator container. Below that, add a text which says BTech IIT Delhi 2011.
I've added the intro column inside the intro container with the following structure.
Yeah, so here we see a mistake. I wanted this to be added to the education column, not the intro column. So can you undo this change? Like whatever was there in the whatever was there in the intro column, let that be, and or add all this content instead of the intro column. Remove it from there and add it to the education column, please.
The changes have been undone for the intro column.
So just align the text left, and for the container, which is the separator container in between, add a margin of 10 units on the bottom for that, and for the entire education container, add a 20 units margin on the top.
I have aligned all the text in the education column to the left, added a bottom margin of 10 units to the separator container, and assigned a top margin of 20 units to the entire education container. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to adjust.
Okay, so I think that it would probably look better to have it in the center. So let's just do that. Can you actually align the content in the education column to the center?
I've updated the education column to align its content to the center.
Okay, so now we'll add a skills column below this, and we'll mention the basic skills that the person has, right? So let's do that. Can you add a new container below the education container called the skills container, and add certain skills to it? So for now, let's add a column to lay down the skills vertically, and let's call that the skills column. And inside that, let's add five or four or five skills for now. So let's add Python, let's add Flutter, let's add Google Cloud Platform, let's add um, let's say Node.js, and let's add mobile application development as skills for now.
I've added a skills container below the education container.
Great. So just like for the education column, you had a title and then you had a separator and then you had the education details. Can you just add a title over here? Let's call it skills and then a separator and then all the skills below. And just center the content in the column, please, as you did for the education column. Also, as you added a margin for the entire education container, just add a margin for the skills container as well. So let's see, if it can remember all the context from what it did for the education container and see what it does.
I've updated the skills column to include.
Okay, so I think just the only thing is that the separator doesn't have the margin that it's supposed to have, right? And that's because it's created a new skills separator. So I can ask it to actually use the original separator container, right? Just use the original separator container that you used for education because it has the appropriate margin as well. So just don't use the skills separator container.
I've updated the skills column to use the original separator container from the education section.
So I think that basically does it. That it can add a section on education, it can add a section on skills, very easily, and all the skills that we asked it to add are there below with the education, and the scroll view is in action over here that you can see the content scrolling very easily with the scroll view present over there, right? So that's it for this video, and we'll meet again in the next video to actually add more content to our portfolio page and make it look even better. Thanks for watching.